manner or given a new life through reuse. Donating your vehicle is easy. Simply call 1-800-983-6530 and Heritage for the Blind will do the rest. They'll even arrange for your vehicle to be picked up at no cost to you. And for a limited time, when you donate your car, you'll receive a $200 restaurant voucher and a 2-night, 3-day hotel stay at one of 50 locations. Call 1-800-983-6530 right now to schedule your vehicle donation and make a positive impact on the environment while helping others. Heritage
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here. Score big deals at Baumhauer's this football season and order from our Inflation Bites menu. Try our Buffalo Wing Special with fries and a complimentary beverage for only $9.99. And what's football without a cold beer? Our pitchers of Yingling and Yingling Flight are only $7.99, served all day, 7 days a week. And huddle up, football fans. Sign up today for our free NFL Pick'em contest at Baumhauers.com for weekly prizes. Baumhauers, legendary fun and legendary food.
The best place to get 50s diner-style homemade delectables is Bubby's Diner. Located at 8412 Whitesburg Drive Southeast, try their all-new expanded breakfast menu with homemade waffles, omelets, and shrimp and grits. With 3 generations of experience, Chris Bubby Belcher has the best burgers in town. Don't forget to leave without a homemade pie or a hand-spun milkshake. Give Bubby's a call today at 256-513-8080. Bubby's Diner, home of the donut burger.
Orthopedics. You're thinking bones, muscles, and joints, right? Well, what else comes to mind? Maybe your spine, therapy, or an arm cast? What about sports medicine? What do you think about when you hear that? Are you thinking about the largest orthopedic group in the state, caring for the most student athletes in North Alabama? Or about the fact that they are teamed up with the state's largest hospital-based sports medicine program to provide care to more schools in North Alabama than any other group? If you are, you have TOC Sports and Huntsville Hospital Sports Center on the brain. If you're not, you should, because Huntsville Hospital Sports Center and TOC Sports have partnered for more than 2 decades to establish a state-of-the-art team of certified athletic trainers and orthopedic specialists who successfully continue to meet and exceed the sports medicine needs of schools, athletes, coaches, and parents in our community. Committing to kids, committing to community, committing to care. That's Huntsville Hospital Sports Center and TOC Sports.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Southern Fidelity Mortgage. Think of them as a loan for everyone, offering more products than anyone else and the guaranteed lowest rates and costs in town. Of the 2,000 loans that Southern Fidelity Mortgage has pre-approved over the last 10 years, all but one have closed. That's unprecedented in the banking business. For FHA, VA, rural development, and conventional mortgages, for the best mortgage experience in town, it's Southern Fidelity Mortgage.
Call Southern Fidelity Mortgage Company at 256-656-5936.
This is Paul Feinbaum. That'll do it for me today. Coming up next, The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This hour is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Wes Neighbors, along with Steve Moulton. He's out tonight. And waiting on Drew DeArmond. Hopefully he'll be here in a minute. But welcome to the drive. And what a crazy 2 weeks it's been since Nick Saban retired. And it's players leaving, players coming back, not coming back. There's rumors abound. And then it seems like the tide is kind of swayed the other way now as we're getting a lot of players out of Washington. Right so far, I think there are 4 players coming. I know 3 have been announced, but it seems to be getting a little better, but it's a lot of angst amongst Alabama fans.
Well, Wes, that's a good sign that they're wanting to follow all these people out of Washington, because that says a lot about Coach DeBoer, about, go with someone you know and someone you trust. And it speaks to a lot of what Nick Saban went through. They're not playing for Alabama. They're playing for Nick Saban. Well, if they're going to play for Kelvin DeBoer, that's a good sign.
Oh, no question.
That sounds good to me.
Well, yeah. So, it's never as bad as it seems, never as good. I was shocked, though, to see Vegas have Alabama as far number 2 behind Georgia to win the national championship next year.
I mean, just with a brand new coach and all this other turnover, and still be ranked that high, that's impressive.
Well, I really do believe the offense is automatically better. To me, from day one, the guy, everywhere he's been, the offense has been better. So you would think that's what they're thinking, and they're starting to get pieces. You look at the wide receiver they just got, and Drew. You can go. I don't have any notes as far as who they're.
You're talking about Jeremy Bernard. He committed yesterday and is already on campus. This will be his 3rd school. This is the era we live in. I mean, on Talking Ball this morning, we talked about it. It was kind of Travis Reier had pointed it out that a couple years ago, when Jeremy Bernard was a true freshman, he caught a touchdown pass from Peyton Thorne. And now they're on opposite ends of the rivalry. Peyton is the incumbent at Auburn. I won't say the starting quarterback because, Will Rogers is out there in the portal. Auburn could all of a sudden make a move. But Jeremy Bernard's, in theory, going to take Isaiah Bond's place because Isaiah is now at Texas. And so they got, 3 commitments from the Washington Huskies so far. They had a good recruiting weekend. They got Austin Mack, who's, huge. He's as big as a tight end, if not bigger. The transfer quarterback from Washington. They got Jeremy Bernard, and then they got the biggest piece, and after your own heart, Parker Brailsford, who is a center who started all 15 games a year ago and is going to be a huge piece, literally and figuratively, and to plug in with Seth McLaughlin, being a part of the Ohio State Moneybags.
Yeah, so I saw a report that they had spent how much money?
Well, they're reporting $13 million so far, but that number is kind of just nobody really knows. It's kind of like what Greg Byrne, the Alabama athletic director, says about the gray area. The $13 million figure is kind of one that's been –
But that's just on NIL transfers.
That's what they're saying.
$13 million they have given to transfers.
Well, and the number is coming from what Ryan Day said last year that he told his collective and all his boosters and everything from Ohio State. He's like, with college football being where it is and what we have to do, he's like, I need $13 million a year for my football team, to function. Yeah. And so I think that's where they're taking that number. Now, it very well may be. I know this. They've totally rebuilt their team up the middle, and certainly Seth McLaughlin's a big piece for them, going to be the starter. Will Howard is the quarterback coming over from Kansas State. But the 2 biggest pieces, and I know they got to be expensive, is Quinshawn Judkins from Ole Miss,
which is he was commanding $1 million. Whether he got $1 million is a lot for a running back. And he makes more money now than he'll make in the league.
Yeah, because we've talked about running backs and how devalued they are, but he is going to be in Columbus. And then their biggest piece, literally and figuratively, and to me, and no disrespect to Caden Proctor, but he's the only great player Alabama has lost, and that's Caleb Downs. And Caleb Downs, I was like everybody else. I thought when T-Rob went to Georgia, when he was named co-DC, safeties coach, when they announced T-Rob was making $1.3 million, I just figured he was going to deliver Caleb Downs. And I knew that Caleb had heavily considered Ohio State, coming out of high school. But then he ends up in Columbus.
So that tells you it's all about money.
Well, that's what I mean. I totally agree with that.
If he goes to Georgia, I'm thinking he's following T-Rob. I really didn't blame him.
Yeah.
I thought he's going to Georgia.
Same defensive scheme,
exactly.
This and that.
There's only 2 or 3 people running the scheme right now.
Right, the same one, yeah.
The same one. It's just Coach Saban's team. They're doing it at Georgia, or you could say Coach Saban, but it was Coach Saban and Kirby kind of developed this scheme that they use, and Kirby uses it. They use it at Ole Miss. They use it at Maryland, I guess. Also,
right,
is another school they're using it at. I'm sure there's other schools that I don't know about, but I know those 3. There's not many using it.
Well, Loxley, I think to a degree, has used it at Maryland, but honestly, he had to have guys like Jeremy Pruitt come in as consultants to use it. To teach it.
Well, that's why they hired Wesley.
Yeah, I was going to say your son as well.
They hired Wesley.
Your son was there,
and
they had hired Kevin Steele, but he left for Miami.
Right.
And ended up at Alabama.
A
week. Yeah.
And they hired because I don't believe you just mentioned his name.
Who, Steele?
No, from this on double secret probation.
Oh, Jeremy.
Yeah. Jeremy. Jeremy never. I don't think he ever came up there either.
Oh, okay. I thought he came up there for maybe a week or so. Yeah.
It was reported he was going, but I don't think he ever did.
Oh, and your son was probably a big reason because he could teach it, and he had to help replace Steele, who, as you said, was only there a week. They barely put the nameplate on the door, and he ended up at Miami, and probably that never happened because the Miami deal was a disaster, and he was able to finish his career, at Alabama. So but again, it's going to be interesting. So Caleb Downs did go to Ohio State, and so I feel like that felt like it was driven a lot like when the Tagovailoas did everything, because when Tua and Talia chose their school, their father Nalu basically chose it, and when Tua wanted to come back to school, remember he had the injury and no one knew how severe it was or if he could come back, that he wanted to return to Alabama, but his father, at the very last moment said, no, we're going pro. I want you to go pro. I don't want you to come back. Because he had even told, Sark and Saban that he was returning. So this Caleb Downs thing kind of felt like his father, Gary, former NFL running back, that he basically wanted him to leave because Nick Saban wasn't there. He wasn't there to play for Saban. The guy that he followed there, too, that he wanted to play for as well as position coach, Travarius Robinson wasn't there. So it just kind of felt like a situation where you put yourself in the portal, you see what you're worth. I know that On3 and some of these guys 24/7 that kind of monitor this transfer portal and they place, value on a player's NIL. They talked about how he was going to demand quarterback money, which is like $1 million. So if Ohio State hit that number and they were already heavily involved in his decision-making process coming out of high school, I can see why he went there. But I'll just say this, Ryan Day better win it all.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
So you spend $13 million
and
you don't win it all. And you're taking all these pieces and you're trying to fit them. It's going to be interesting because I'm sure somebody will do it, but you have this model at Texas A&M where it didn't go so well. Not necessarily with NIL, but of giving NIL to giving to the freshmen, but the older people took offense to it.
Yeah.
Now, how are the people there at Ohio State going to take all these?
You talking about the current guys,
the current players? That's what you got to worry about. It's the locker room that it's going to matter. It's not like Ohio State's going to be good. Obviously, they got great players.
Right.
But you have to be special in the locker room to win a championship.
Well, and you already hear the stories and Lane Kiffin's even told some of them about meeting with players and players coming to him and saying, well, so and so's getting this, why am I not getting that, and things of that. And you're having to deal with it. And
and a lot of there's a lot of misinformation out there too. People claiming this, people claiming that. I know for a fact. It came up where a player that I knew how much he was getting. That wasn't in Alabama. Was at two SEC schools, but wasn't in Alabama. Kid was leaving. He told everybody there he was getting $200,000.
Oh,
but he was only getting $50 for where he was going.
Oh,
Ended up going somewhere else, and he did get $200. But he acted like he was getting that the whole time, telling his teammates. So, you see this activity, and these guys are kids, and it's amazing to me where I was wrong. I never thought it'd get there. I thought people had more sense.
Well, the NCAA unfortunately just doesn't, and they're so reactive.
I'm not talking about just the NCAA. I'm talking about people giving the money.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's insanity what some of these boosters are doing. Like, for example, Texas. The numbers you hear for a guy like Bond, who's a good player, but he's not a great player, and you're thinking.
I think he could be. That's my opinion, though.
Well, he might go to that level at Texas. I don't know.
He made
but
some really good plays this year.
I mean, he really finished strong at Alabama.
And you watch his practice, Drew. He didn't catch a ball in practice. He dropped.
Yeah, I mean, he was. That's what I'm saying. He was not good in the spring. Like, he was dropping the football and he had no NIL value at that point because he had not made plays at Alabama as a freshman, not many. So he didn't have he wasn't. I don't think he was being pursued. But once he finished strong like he did at Alabama, nearly 700 yards receiving, and you make that huge play against Auburn, and then you make the big play against Georgia, and you help your team, get to the precipice of the national championship game on that stage, you start commanding that kind of potential interest. And schools like Texas with insane boosters, in part of their collective, if the number is to be believed, and like you said, Wes, sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, but the numbers that are being thrown around, like 750,000, is crazy. I mean, it's just
he
like,
got
wow.
750,000 in a Lamborghini.
Well, I saw some huge Ford truck he bought too, so I don't know if he got a Lamborghini or if he bought that 50,000 Ford truck. They congratulated him on the Ford truck on social media, by the way.
Yeah, you can't.
That may have been for his dad, though.
Yeah, you can't drive. You can't move in a Lamborghini. You can't put a couch in a Lamborghini.
No, that's true. I mean, that may have been for his dad or something. For all I know, this Ford. But it was a nice looking truck. I mean, maybe as nice as your Bronco if they can get us around in all this ice.
I know the ice is gone though.
Yeah, thank goodness.
I got a good story though. So, I drove around every day in that thing. Never even close. Went up mountains. There'd be people wrecked all around me. It's like magic car. I called it my magic carpet everywhere I went.
Yeah.
Brought food and my mom's prescriptions too. I mean, just going everywhere. Anybody called me, I was ready to go. So today, I didn't drive the Bronco. And I go to McDonald's to get a little snack, mid-morning snack, and get stuck in the drive-thru. Would not move it. I'm sitting there. I've ordered. I've paid for my food, and I'm trying to go to pick it up. And there's an old lady yelling at me, "Turn your wheels to the right!"
Oh wow!
And I'm in panic mode.
Really?
Because I'm stuck, and I'm like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me!"
After all this time.
Yeah. But now I did have a 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
But I never put it in. I never thought about it. Never put it in 4-wheel drive. I didn't really know how. I finally figured it out. But you know how when people are yelling at you, and 1 minute turns into like 10.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I thought that was So, all I can say is you need to go out and get a Ford Bronco.
So were you in the truck this time?
Yeah, I was in the truck, but I'd never put it in 4-wheel drive.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well,
but it was easy for that minute, I was just shocked that I was.
Well, because I only one time during this time, like during our days, like did I have one little incident where I thought that I might be getting stuck, and that was when I was turning basically onto Whitesburg. I was turning left out of a red light, and there was quite a bit. It was my first time basically out. I think it was. I think it was on Wednesday when we finally had a show, or excuse me, on Thursday. Pardon me. Because we were off Tuesday and Wednesday after having a show Monday, and I was turning, and it started to give me that signal because I have a sensor in my car, like it gives you the shh, And then, but I didn't give it any gas at all. I just let it go and then finished the turn, and then I was fine. But that's the only time that it happened to me. Now, my story is, though, over here in our esteemed parking lot, as I finished my radio duties on Friday, my one incident is it was still frozen in a good portion of our parking lot. And friends and gentlemen, everybody, always step out near your car where you can lean against something, because I stepped off the curb and I'm still recovering because I went vertical, man. I mean, I'm talking about straight up in the air. There was only 3 cars in the parking lot besides my own, and one was Bailey, one was John Abraham, and then I think there was somebody in this building because this building was deserted for most of the week. But, yeah, man, I landed on my back, hit my head. I was afraid I had a concussion, but thank goodness I did not.
As long as you land on your head, you're going to be all right, Drew.
Yeah, there you go. And
do we need to do concussion protocol here?
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought. Brian, I thought, am I going to – I laid on the ground for 2 or 3 minutes getting my faculties, and but no, I didn't have a concussion, but I'm still got a stiff neck, and my back's still kind of banged up. So I've been sleeping quite a bit, trying to recover and taking medication, but – it was, like I'm saying, man, and I was really embarrassed, but I was just, like, frustrated with myself because I had been very, very careful.
Yeah,
and
take baby
here it
steps
goes.
on the ice.
Exactly. And I only took one, but then it was just, that's all I took. And I was just like,
man,
bam.
Hurts. Yeah, that hurts.
I mean, that's
stuff. You got to do the penguin walk out there.
Yeah.
You do. You really do. You really have to take a very small step.
Yeah, I'm more like Joe Biden. I'm walking like Joe Biden.
Oh, my God. I don't even want to think about it. But I just thought to myself, I may have his memory when I landed. But no, I was able to get my faculties, and I was all right. But I was like, whew. I mean, and then, of course, I'm like everybody else. Everybody's like, what'd you do? Did you look around and see if anybody saw you? I was like, of course. I mean, I looked around like, is anybody around? I was like, there's only 4 cars here, but I don't see anybody. So, and luckily, like I say, I avoided what could have been a much worse injury. No broken bones, just banged up. But it's just like, oof. It was not fun.
Yeah.
It was very lucky. Yeah, no doubt.
But, yeah, the ice can get you.
It really can.
Y'all want to talk to Ray from Madison?
Ray from Madison going to join us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Ray, what's up?
Hey, great to hear y'all's voices on the radio.
Yeah, we're here, man. We're trying.
I know it. Yeah.
Well, I missed the first maybe 5 minutes of the program, but I turned it on when you guys were talking about the NIL deals and the Ohio State. But I was wondering if you guys know from any sources or anything that a couple of the Alabama players had tweeted out over the weekend about some big news coming on what that was. And also, I also was going to just get Wes and Drew's general take on the DeBoer hire. I thought, and also, I'm not interested in, starting a, I know it's talk radio and the fun part about it is the hate and all that and the rivalries, but and I'm not saying it just to, I don't know, pile on Auburn or whatever, but when I look at Harson's record and I look at DeBoer's record, I really have a hard time with the comparison of the two. I just don't see DeBoer being Harson. I mean, this guy just got through playing in a national championship game, and he had 29 people, I believe, to hit the transfer portal when he first got to Washington, which was his first big job, I believe, at the biggest school he ever coached at as a head coach. And also, as you guys know, I personally thought Texas was going to just trounce the Huskies. I didn't think Texas would have a problem at all with them.
Texas
but anyway,
got outcoached.
I want to hang up and let you guys respond to the things I've said. And again, I'll just be curious if there's any news about the big news thing coming in the Harson-DeBoer comparison and all that. Especially interested in Wes's take on DeBoer. Great to hear you guys. I've been very, very curious to hear Wes's thoughts on this all along, and I appreciate y'all, and I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think so. I love the hire. First of all,
right.
If I had my druthers, D'Amico Ryans is who I meant no secret. That's who I hoped
you
and
and Keith
for.
had told me that. Yeah.
Yeah. But DeBoer was on my list.
Yeah.
So was Sark, and so was I kind of worry about the coach at Oregon.
Lanning.
Lanning.
Yeah.
Just because he hasn't – I mean, he's gone to Oregon. He's been a head coach for 2 years.
Right, period, yeah.
I mean, so – but he's a good coach, and I do my son's good friends with him.
Right. Well, he worked under your son.
Yeah, he actually.
Under. That's right, everybody.
Weird, yeah. So, but he is a little older, and he's done well everywhere he's went, and I'm sure he will continue. But that was my little concern about him. But DeBoer's undefeated against Sark and Lanning.
He is, and Lincoln Sharman / Riley. He was 7-0 against those three. Yep.
Anyway, so I like the hire. I love the hire. I think the guy's going to do a great job.
Right.
There is no comparison. He's already signed 4 guys that are. I mean, he's obviously been able to recruit. He knows how to put a team together. The guy's lost 12 games total. It's really unbelievable. When I saw that, I'm like, well, why wouldn't you hire this guy?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're from. Coach Saban's from Ohio.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he grew up in West Virginia, but you're right. I mean, he had when he began his journey as a coach. His first head coaching job was Toledo. He was there in like '90. He was there for a year, and then he went to be with Belichick for like 4 years in Cleveland, and then he went to Michigan State, and he had been the defensive coordinator for George Perlis there, and that's why they knew him, and so they hired him. And he had no ties to the South.
Yeah, well, Urban Meyer was from Ohio too.
Yeah. He had been Urban Meyer had been at Bowling Green in Utah before he went to Florida.
Yeah, well, he was actually on the staff of Ohio State when Alabama beat him in my senior year.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Up in the bowl game.
Yeah,
anyway.
in '86.
Yeah.
And New Jersey. So in the kickoff classic. So neither one of those guys who ended up being two of the greatest coaches of their era, when they came to the SEC, had ever been to the SEC.
Yeah,
and Urban and Coach Saban immediately started winning big. Like Coach Saban, people forget how bad LSU was before he showed up. I mean, they had like 7 losing seasons in 10 years, and they had just not been good at all.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to do anything.
And he got that lined right back up. And started recruiting the state of Louisiana like crazy. Yeah, and he got him to the highest level. Then he decided to be. I think Coach Saban always had the itch to be an NFL head coach and try it, and he certainly did. And he liked Wayne Huizenga. But here's the thing where your family comes into play. Like his wife didn't like it. She didn't like the NFL.
She didn't like Miami.
She didn't like Miami at all.
Miami's not for everybody.
Yeah, and so she didn't like that. And so he comes back to Alabama and back to the SEC. He has the greatest 17-year run in history. Because somebody asked me this weekend, like, what is your favorite Saban stat? You know, all these stats they have of his run for 17 years. I said, look, for me, it's still the 6 national championships. And then if you peel back the onion, he could have won 10. Yeah. And when you start thinking about that, that's just stunning.
This is the thing that gets me. There are a lot of them. That's one.
Yeah.
The fact that Alabama was number 1. Mm-hmm. Every year, except for his first and last year, sometime during the season.
Right, crazy.
Every year. That's the craziest stat. I mean, and I don't think anybody will ever come close to it while I'm living anyway. But to get back to the question of the caller,
right?
I love the hire.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously he has had some players. Listen, the portal's not open for everybody. Just if your head coach leaves. Today they got a linebacker from South Alabama.
Well, he's going to visit.
Okay.
He didn't commit. I know that's kind of been a topic of conversation, and it makes sense because Joseph Hastings of BamaOnline.com reported it and basically said, look out for this, everybody. We're confirming it with all parties. About this kid. He's going to potentially be an addition to this squad, and it's Kane Womack's guy, Khalil Jacobs. I think he had around 55 tackles 64. This year. Yeah, and he plays this kind of hybrid Sam linebacker role where you're in his system. You're a hybrid safety linebacker.
It's similar.
Yeah.
To what's the outside position when you play nickel?
Yeah,
on
like the
let's
star
say,
position.
Star.
Yeah,
That's it.
He looks like he's going to get offered, so he would be a depth piece because you got to remember they've lost across the board.
Well,
they've lost guys.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
And then this guy knows his system, and so at the very least he'd be quality depth. And this young man has been in the portal, I think, since Kane Womack left as head coach, and so he's somebody else to watch. And then also we have some breaking news since I sat down because I knew it would be interesting. As a matter of fact, someone had asked me this earlier today. They asked me, like, what do you think? Where's Tommy Rees going to go? They asked me on social media, and I was like, I would not be surprised if he's in the NFL. And now they are reporting that he's working out a deal, it looks like, to join the Cleveland Browns staff.
Good for him.
So I knew that he would probably have his name in the mix at some of these, for these like coordinators jobs on the Power 5 level. But he'd already been to the NFL, with Ken Wisenhunt and the Chargers once before. So I kind of figured Rees' ultimate landing spot, even though he's still very young, 31 years old.
Ken Wisenhunt was on the staff.
Yeah, this year he was. So I thought maybe Tommy Rees might end up in the NFL, and that looks like what's going to happen.
Along with his son-in-law, Zach Mettenberger.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and Zach was let go too. I mean, and Zach did a good job as an ass. But the thing about that is most of those guys, like I saw today, Thomas Fletcher, long snap Fletch. If you've been following him on social media, he was the former long snapper at Alabama. He had retired from the NFL. I think at one time he was the Carolina Panthers long snapper. He had retired and had come back to Alabama. I think he was an analyst this year. Well, he got let go. Well, he has resurfaced. He announced on his social media he's headed to work for Chip Kelly and UCLA. So he's headed out west.
And then the caller also asked about the big news, and I believe the big news is Ryan Williams is coming to Alabama.
I think so, too. I know there was nothing announced today. Some people were wondering if he might announce something. But
his buddy pretty much
Jalen Mbakwe, he was on the visit with him. That's his best friend.
And that's who was saying there's going to be big
news. From all I understand, Wes, and I was trying to follow it this weekend. It was the DeBoer and staff's first big weekend. We mentioned the three kids they got: Austin Mack, Jeremy Bernard, Parker Brailsford. They got them committed. They're still going to wait on Jabbar Muhammad,
that's
the
number
corner.
One.
He's still got Texas there. He may visit Dan Lanning in Oregon this weekend. NIL's playing a factor there. But Alabama's still very much in the mix there because they have a hole at corner. We'll have to wait on that piece. But him and then the two official visitors, one was Noah Carter, who's from Arizona, who's a former Washington commit and who's an edge player who had got out of his letter of intent and visited. I think Alabama's going to sign him. And then, of course, the headliner was Ryan Williams. They had already had him there for a visit earlier in the week for the team meeting, which I thought was big. I think he took a midweek visit to LSU, and then he was back in Tuscaloosa, and him and Mbakwe were kind of inseparable. I think Williams and his dad had a great time. They really laid out the red carpet, so there's a lot of thought that he's going to recommit to Alabama, and he would be a huge sign. It would be similar, and I said this on the show this morning, to Julio Jones. That's the comparison.
He's not that big, though, is he?
He's not. No, he's not the same type because Julio is a huge, big 6'4", 6'5" monster, but he's more like the 6'1", quick as a cat. He's kind of a cross between Jalen Waddle and David Palmer, but he's magical. That's what I always say. He's magic. He can return kickoffs and punts. He would be a huge piece and be a huge shot across the bow because this is Kalen DeBoer's first rodeo in the SEC, but to get this kid – and get him recommitted and signed would be huge. And I think that's what Jalen Mbakwe, when he tweeted that or posted it, that's what he was referring to.
Myself also. I believe that was what I read.
Right. And I think we need to go on our first break here. When we come back, we'll go back to your phone calls, 256-576-4977 here on this 1-hour edition of The Drive.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Electric cars are coming faster than you think, and that's why we're bringing SEMA Connect to Alabama.
Our team educates you and helps provide a long-term plan for your business. Where to put them, how to get them there, how to pay for them, tax incentives, service, and monitoring. We take care of everything.
Doing the right thing means bringing EV car chargers to Alabama. Let us help you with your EV charging plan.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Work injuries happen in Alabama all the time, whether it's an accident at work, getting injured, lifting heavy objects, hurting your hands on a machine, or just performing the same movement over and over until your body breaks down. But when it happens, there's only one law firm to call in Alabama. That's Pond, Lehocky, Giordano. For personalized legal support, reach out to Pond Lehocky at 855-774-3838 or pondlehocky.com.
The representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers. From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
You've been paying on that life insurance policy for years, but maybe you don't really need it anymore, or it's gotten a bit too expensive. Well, before you just let it expire, let Neighbors Insurance Solutions share with you some alternatives that you haven't considered. Don't throw away something that still may have great value for you. If you want to learn more about what Neighbors Insurance Solutions can do for you, call 256-763-7693. A death benefit could be a life benefit. Learn more at 256-763-7693.
This segment of The Drive is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, located online at WoodyAndersonFord.com with 2 locations, Hughes Road in Madison and Jordan Lane in Huntsville.
We are back here on The Drive. Now you can go to Zone 2. There's going to be some UAH hoops tonight. I know the women played at 3 against Auburn Montgomery. The men were slated to start a little. They don't ever start right at 5, so they're probably getting ready to start right about now. But if you want to hear UAH basketball, you can go over to Zone 2 and hear Steve and Scott over there as UAH is trying to bounce back. They've been like us. I mean, the UAH was basically shut down like everything else last week, and that's why this game wasn't played over on the weekend on Saturday. This game was moved to tonight, and UAH will have a road swing after this. They're going to be playing at Montevallo on Wednesday, and then at West Alabama on Saturday. But tonight, UAH back in action. And they are trying to bounce back from their loss against West Florida the last time out on the road, and so they're back in Spraggins Hall, and so hopefully John Schulman and the boys will get it done. But you can hear that on Zone 2 if you want to. But we're glad you're tuning in to us. We're going to be going until 6, and then it'll be Hey Coach. And I know new baseball coach Rob Vaughn is going to be on tonight with Chris Stewart. They are going to just talk some Alabama Crimson Tide, and I'm sure football will inevitably be brought up. They haven't had Kalen DeBoer yet, but I'm sure that's just a matter of time. Kalen DeBoer's kind of busy, like Wes said. He's had to hit the ground running, literally and figuratively, putting this staff together. They have not announced the staff, but all the way through. But
all the offensive staff's there. It's just defensive staff.
Well, I believe they've got the defensive staff hired now, they've because they've made a couple, like for example, with the Zabian Brown and Peyton Woodyard, a couple of Californians that signed in this class. Woodyard from St. John Bosco, a safety, and then of course Zabian Brown from Mater Dei, cornerback. The Courtney Morgan, who is the new general manager of Alabama football, him and one of the new hires, Mo Lindquist, who is going to be the co-defensive coordinator and cornerbacks coach. They flew out to California to meet with those two families to make sure those kids were all in, and because we've already seen it, we've already seen Julian Sand move on quickly and move to Ohio State, where the guy that recruited him, Bill O'Brien's taking over that offense. So he was a big part of the recruiting class to move on. They were trying to make sure they were going to hold on to those two DBs. So Mo Lindquist is going to be the co-DC and cornerbacks coach, along with Kane Womack. And Kane will be running a 4-2-5. Kane was, of course, the head coach at South Alabama. But he and Kalen DeBoer worked together in Indiana in 2019. They had a really good football team and a really good staff that year. David Ballou was the head strength coach, who's now the strength coach for Alabama football, will be retained. And William Inge was also on that staff. William Inge was the final hire, we strongly believe, to the defensive staff, because you got Kane Womack, who's going to coach the linebackers and going to be the defensive coordinator, call the signals. Mo Lindquist going to coach the corners and have a heavy hand in the secondary. He's going to be the co-DC. Then Colin Hitzler, who is the best recruiter and safeties coach for Wisconsin, is coming to be a part of the staff. I think he's going to be the safeties coach at Alabama, and he and Mo are going to split the secondary duties. And that's usually how Kane did it even at South Alabama, as well as how he had it set up. And then, like I said, William Inge is going to be your edge coach / special teams. And he's done that in other stops. So he's going to be the only one on the defensive side of the ball, Wes, from Washington to come over. And then, of course, we know the only one retained will be Freddie Roach. Just like Robert Gillespie was the only one on offense, he will be retained. Robert Gillespie is going to be the running backs coach. Freddie Roach is going to coach the defensive line. So your defensive staff is in place. And as you said, Wes, as you hinted to the listeners, the rest of that offensive staff, sans Robert Gillespie, is, of course, all his guys from Washington. And they were, as you said, to start our show, the offense is going to be, you would think, exponentially better right away, just because of the continuity there and what they're going to do offensively. Got to fit it to the personnel, but they've done that everywhere they've been. So Kane is an offensive guy. He'll probably be heavily involved with Grubb with the play calling process, but Ryan Grubb will be your OC QB coach. And Coach Shepard is going to be the wide receivers coach. He's coming over from Washington to be the wide receivers coach. Did a great job with that group. They got their top three receivers are all going to be first, second round picks. And then the number 4 guy, as we already said, is transferring to Alabama. No question. He's a really Jeremy Barnyard is a really good player and is going to be a big part going forward of this Alabama offense. And then, as we said, Nicholas Shepard is going to be the tight ends coach. Nick Shepard was the tight ends coach at Washington. He's coming over. And then, of course, Scott Huff is going to take over the offensive line. And they won the Joe Moore Award as the nation's best line, and so he's going to come over. And so there should be, Wes, a lot of continuity offensively.
Yes. I mean, you would think that anybody that's followed DeBoer knows that then they use the word, he's an offensive genius.
Yeah.
He is a guy that and this the offensive coordinator now is a guy that we tried to hire last year.
Yeah, Ryan Grubb, absolutely.
He was Coach Saban's first choice last year, and he had just gotten there and didn't. And where was Grubb before?
Well, he had actually been he'd been there for the first year, but he's been with DeBoer every stop. Sioux Falls, Fresno State, and now this. He had just been bumped up to nearly $2 million a year in salary at Washington, and he was looking to make the same money at Alabama. The word I got was maybe that they couldn't come to agreement on said compensation, even though I believe Tommy Rees was making around that when he came to Alabama. But I think also Grubb, it was tough for him to leave DeBoer because they'd been together so long, and they knew what kind of team they had coming back at Washington. And so if he couldn't make – if the deal for him wasn't, either exceeding what he already had on the table at Washington or at least equal, I don't think he could see himself making the move, and that's why they couldn't work it out. And he stayed at UW, and it was the right move. I mean, Penix nearly became a Heisman Trophy winner. They played for the national championship, and now, as you you pointed out, it worked out anyway because he didn't get the head coaching job at Washington. And so, but I mean, I think he and Kalen DeBoer, that's a huge reason Austin Mack is coming, because he was their number 2 quarterback behind Penix, and he had reclassified from 24 to the 23 class and was their backup. And if something had happened to Penix at the end of the year, and Penix got a little banged up, he would have been the guy. And so they wanted their guy to come with them and compete. And you would have hoped Julian Sand would have stayed and wanted to compete with him, but we know how it is with the quarterback rooms, man. It's hard to keep, because Alabama had 4 on scholarship. Then he would have been 5, and now it's down to 4, and so a guy like Ty Simpson could leave in the future. So it's one of those things. It's very difficult to keep quarterbacks.
Don't you think that my opinion is, I don't think it's a layup that we'll have the same starting quarterback next year.
I don't think it is either, and it's no disrespect to Milroe,
none at all. There's some talent in that quarterback range.
There is, and Milroe proved himself. He's got skins on the wall. He's the leader in the clubhouse. I mean, he led his team to an SEC championship in the playoff and was a play away from going to the national championship game, and I think they would have won it. But the thing is, the system is completely different. Everybody that recruited him, Nick Saban. And of course Sark is the one that went to the table for him and got him to flip from Texas, but Sark has been gone. But all the guys, there were support staff people there. Alex Mortenson's now at UAB. There are so many people, and Tommy Rees, he and Tommy Rees found common ground this year. Tommy, we just talked about it before we went to break, going to be a part of the Cleveland Browns staff. Everything is different. He's going to have to make that next step, because he's established himself as a starting quarterback in the SEC and a playmaker. But if he were a great pro prospect, he would have just done the Mac Jones, and he would have been gone in a year, because Mac has started one full year, became a first-round pick, and went on to the NFL. Jake Coker and Blake Sims only had 1 year. They were seniors. Now, Milroe actually has 2 years. But he's going to have to get better from the neck up in the system that they're going to run, which is going to be quarterback-driven. This past year, they used the dual threat capabilities of Milroe to be effective. But again, the passing game at times was not pretty. Made big plays, but the short and intermediate passing game wasn't probably what it needed to be. Some of the receivers didn't get the touches they needed, and I think that's one reason why Bond and Niblack left to go to Texas. They need to be able to spread the ball around like a point guard, like Nick Saban was saying during the season. And Milroe made progress, but he's going to have to make that next step from the neck up, with what process and throwing the ball in time with accuracy and anticipation. I've even put this on my X account. If he does that, he will be a high draft pick after next year. He would be a first or second round pick. Yeah. But I'm going to be fascinated to see what DeBoer and Grubb and their staff can do with him, because he has all the physical tools, the arm, the mobility. But can he function in the passing game a little bit better and see the field better? Can they help him with his field vision? Because there were times he just didn't see the field well.
Can we protect him better?
And, 49 sacks. Some of them were on him, but some of them were on the left tackle, who at times wasn't very good. Even J.C. Latham struggled.
At times, J.C. struggled.
Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting, because, like you said, there's also other talented guys. Will Ty Simpson step up? Is he going to stay? And then Dylan Lonergan, who I really liked last year, who has a lot of talent. And then this new guy, Austin Mack. He knows this system. So that battle in the spring is going to be very interesting. But I know we need to take a break, and we need to come back and wrap up this hour of the drive here on this Monday. Stay with us. Drew DeArmond in for Steve Moulton with West Neighbors.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It's official. 47 years in a row, Ford F-150 is the best-selling truck in America. Come drive one, and you'll see why. Hi, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to kickstart the new year in a brand-new F-150. Choose from nearly 200 F-150s, and we think you'll find just the right one. Right now, we have financing as low as 1.9% for up to 72 months on 2023 F-150s, and lease payments as low as $389 a month. That's a 36-month lease with $62.82 due at signing, zero security deposit, just tax tag title, and your good credit. This offer ends January 31st. Call 539-9441 for complete details. At Woody Anderson Ford, we have nearly 50 2023 Explorers for you to choose from, too, with financing as low as 0.9% for up to 60 months. Plus, check out our over 40 24 Bronco Sports and a fresh truckload of the full-size Broncos that have just hit the ground. Come on over and let's get the new year rolling. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan at Sparkman. Hope to see you soon.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Next time you're online looking for landscaping inspiration, open Instagram and check out Southern Gent Landscaping. They can help make your yard your dream outdoor oasis. Southern Gent Landscaping can handle it all, from landscape maintenance and installation to irrigation and hardscapes, even AstroTurf. Turn your yard into a landscape you'll be proud to show off. Call Southern Gent Landscaping at 256-509-6088. 509-6088. Southern Gent Landscaping. Professional landscaping performed with satisfaction guaranteed.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Since 1986, Full Moon Barbecue has been cooking quality meats low and slow over a hickory wood-fired pit. From ribs and wings, brisket, turkey, catfish, and sausage to the best butts in town. And Full Moon is ready for your next catering or tailgate. Our zone deal this week is $50 worth of Full Moon Barbecue from our Huntsville location for half price, just $25. Log on 977ESPN.com beginning Friday morning to score this incredible deal from Full Moon Barbecue on the Parkway next to Costco, the best little pork house in Alabama.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
These days, saving time is important, and saving money is even more so. That's where Eagle Masonry and Insulation comes in. Over the years, Eagle has expanded their services to meet the needs of folks like you in our area. If you need masonry, brick, stone, or block work, Eagle should be your first call. They can even help if your property needs grading, erosion control, and Eagle can handle dirt haul-off. Call Eagle Masonry and Insulation today at 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time, and Eagle saves you money.
Sitting here with Mark Kent of Southern Fidelity Mortgage Group of Huntsville. Mark, do you help pre-qualify people?
We pre-qualify people all the time, Wes. As a matter of fact, I love having them coming in here because when they come in and they pre-qualify, they can leave my office knowing exactly how much they can buy and have no worries.
Mark, tell me about your rates and pricing.
Well, Wes, this is something we're really, really proud of. Long story short is, I love being able to provide the best pricing in town. Honestly, I cannot tell you the last time I lost a deal to either rate or pricing, something I'm very proud of.
So what all financing options do you have, Mark?
We do several different things. If you're purchasing a home, we can handle the purchase. If you're wanting to refinance your home, of course, rates are at the lowest they've been in the last 3 years. We do a lot of refinancing. If you're building a home, we can handle the entire process from breaking ground to the final close.
Do you sleep with your phone?
Wes, if you want to reach me, you can call me at my office phone, which is 256-562-1000. But always remember, I sleep with my cell phone at night. That number is 256-656-5936.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday night, expect a few isolated showers mainly after midnight. Otherwise, we'll sit under a mostly cloudy sky. Low temperatures falling into the lower 40s, upper 30s for some of us. Heading into your Tuesday, we're going to keep rain in the forecast. If you're not seeing rain, probably seeing an overcast sky. High temperatures a little warmer. It looks like we'll top out in the mid-50s for the afternoon. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
And we are back for our final segment of this hour of The Drive. Appreciate Steve Moulton allowing me to be in the saddle. And he gave me an update from Zone 2. They are at halftime. And I think John Shulman's pep talk, the practice, whatever they were able to do. I know they were able to get some work in during this past week, even though it was icy. 52-32, UAH dominating at halftime. So they're out in front on Zone 2 if you want to hear the second half of that as we are about to wrap this up here in a few minutes. But 52-32 on Zone 2, the UAH men winning at halftime. So trying to pick up a big Gulf South Conference win. Speaking of big wins, I wanted to update the listeners on this too because Alabama was involved in this sweepstakes. But George McIntyre, 6'4", 6'5", really athletic quarterback at Brentwood Academy, coached by good friend Andy Blackston in basketball, helped lead him to a state championship as a 10th grader a couple of years ago. He's a really good player. Alabama and Tommy Rees, Nick Saban were heavily involved with him. At one time, probably led in the process. But, Tennessee and, Josh Heupel, they identified him as their top guy too, and they had stayed with it. And even before Nick Saban had retired, it was thought that Tennessee was probably slightly in the lead. And, of course, once Nick Saban retires, Tommy Rees, we already said earlier in the show, is headed to Cleveland. It looks like to be a part of that offensive staff under Kevin Stefanski. Well, it looks like George McIntyre went ahead and pulled the trigger this morning. He is going to be a Tennessee Vol, so that's a huge get for the Tennessee Volunteers. And so we got to give them credit. That'll be a big part of their recruiting class. And Alabama, to tell you that when you change coaching staff, sometimes recruiting boards change, philosophies change. We talked about Ryan Williams earlier, Wes, in the show. He's a huge part of the recruiting class this year. Well, his quarterback is a junior who will be going into his senior season, KJ Lacey. He's a smaller guy, kind of like Julian Sand and Bryce Young. He'll be going into his third year starting in the fall for Sarah Land and Jeff Kelly. He was on campus with Ryan Williams and met with the coaching staff at Alabama. They were recruiting him with Saban and Tommy Rees, but it'll probably intensify with this new staff, especially if they like this kid a lot. And it doesn't hurt as well that of course he and Ryan Williams are close, and that could end up being a package deal. Wouldn't surprise me at all in a good package. So he's committed to Texas right now. And of course, I think KJ and Ryan Williams are headed up to Austin this weekend. But it would not surprise me at all if Ryan Williams and KJ Lacey end up in Tuscaloosa. Ryan, of course, is reclassified. He'd be there in June. But if KJ Lacey's a part of the recruiting class in 2025.
So what about, Drew, the quarterback that in Birmingham, south of Birmingham, Thompson High School.
Trent Seaborn.
Yeah.
He's just going to be a sophomore in the fall. He's a very young kid. He led him to a state championship as an 8th grader. I know they beat Huntsville High in the first round of the playoffs 2 years ago when he was in 8th grade, and he had kind of shared starting duties with another upperclassman. But he's originally from Colorado. I know he knew the Tungavailoa family. I think that's how they told him about Thompson High School. He has a chance to be a very special player.
Is he a big guy?
No, he's a little over 6 feet tall. Now he filled out a lot because I think as an 8th grader he's maybe 140, 150 pounds. I think he was closer to 180 this year. You can tell he's starting to gain weight and grow a little bit, and so he's Seaborn. He quarterbacked Thompson this entire year. He got him to the semifinals, and they succumbed. And they got beat in the playoffs. So, I should say the finals. Let me apologize for that. He got to the championship game, and they succumbed to Central of Phoenix City in the 7A state championship game because they had a great season, no doubt about that. And he had a great year. He threw for just under 3,000 yards, and I believe he was he made some all-state lists. I think he was because of Max Preps does these national Players of the Year by class. He was the National Freshman of the Year this year. So certainly Mark Freeman and Thompson, he's going to have a chance to be a really, really special and heavily recruited player. I know Alabama had already been heavily involved with him. Auburn, I know he recently went on visits to Clemson and North Carolina in the same weekend because Chip Lindsey, if you remember him, he's a former Bob Jones star, but the head coach at Troy and OC at Auburn. He's on the staff with Mack Brown at North Carolina. Certainly we know Dabo and what he's done at Clemson, but Seaborn is going to be a national recruit, and he'll be somebody I'm sure that's going to be of high interest to Kalen DeBoer and this new coaching staff. But it's like I've told people, when you have to deprogram yourself when it's been 17 years of Sabanese because Parker Brailsford, the center that committed, I think he played at 270, 275, 280, and everybody's telling me, well, he's got to bulk up to 300, 305. And I'm like, well, that was the old system. I was like, DeBoer may not really they may prefer 280, 285.
Well, you know how much Kelsey in the NFL weighs?
How much?
Now, after he's been playing for 295.
Yeah, there you go.
He's the best center.
Just retired, and had a great time in Buffalo, by the way, yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. I mean, wow. When the Buffalo Bills fans fall in love with you.
Yeah, he was drinking out of a bowling ball, man. He was having a grand old time. I mean, he took a little girl out of the crowd, and she met Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
His brother's got a high-profile chick, Everybody knows that.
Everybody thinks that's why they won.
Right? Well,
they get some call. I didn't watch the game.
I just thought Buffalo kind of gagged. I thought Buffalo. It was a great game, but I thought they faked a punt when they shouldn't. And then they were driving, and then their kicker misses a 44-yarder. In the NFL, you got to make 44-yard kicks.
Was the wind bad though?
But you gotta. It would have given you a chance. Maybe to get to overtime, even though Mahomes had the ball last. But, yeah, man, it's going to be crazy because now it's going to be Baltimore. And
what is it, 2 years ago that Buffalo and that game, Kansas City-Buffalo game, in Kansas City is probably one of the
the back and forth game.
Most exciting games I've ever watched. It was crazy.
Yeah, and this one was almost not quite as good, but it still had the back and forth, especially in the fourth quarter. And, Buffalo, this was the first time, though, they'd had them at home. Right. And this was the first home. This is how great Mahomes has been. It was his first road game ever in the playoffs. He's been able to play them all at home. Now he's got to go to Baltimore though, and Lamar Jackson, and Baltimore looks like the best team. Like if you've watched them all year,
and
like
one of their best
players
is not the tight ends. Still,
Mark Andrews. He's probably going to be back this week though, according to Adam Schefter. He started to practice.
He's a player now. He changes. When you have a tight end that you can't cover.
Yeah, Mark Andrews.
And then also he run without the ball.
It's such a well-run organization, though. They lost their top 2 running backs to injury, J.K. Dobbins, and then this rookie that was having a hell of a year, and yet they're still rolling. They got Gus Edwards. It's such. They're probably a lot, and of course, who would not expect that with Ozzie Newsome, but they're probably the best organization right now in the NFL. Them and the 49ers, and they're probably going to meet in the Super Bowl.
Going to be fun to watch.
It certainly will. We appreciate everybody. Go to Zone 2 if you want to listen to UAH basketball second half, 52-32 lead over Auburn Montgomery, or listen to Hey Coach next with Rob Vaughn, Alabama baseball coach, set to join Chris Stewart. Everybody, have a great evening and stay safe.
It's It's official. 47 years in a row, Ford F-150 is the best-selling truck in America. Come drive one and you'll see why. Hi, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to kickstart the new year in a brand new F-150. Choose from nearly 200 F-150s, and we think you'll find just